What is happening, sports fans? It's your main man, Matt, from the DFS 5-pack, rocking it solo Monday, July 5th. Ryan is off today. He's handling some other stuff. So you just got me, and let's rock it. We got a pretty big Monday night slate. Still feels like the holidays, but, July 5th often feels that way. So I'm excited to get after this MLB slate. I think we got 9 games tonight. Yes, sir. 9 games and some really good spots all over. So let me screen share this and we will dive right in. Should be good to go. All righty. So starting with pitchers up top, I think Woodruff is a really good look in all formats. The Mets coming off a doubleheader, probably a little bit tired. Woodruff has been nothing short of phenomenal this year. Maybe not quite as good as the Jacob deGroms or Kevin Gausmans of the world. It feels weird to say that, but he's been a top 5 pitcher in the NL all year, in a good spot against the Mets, even on the road. I like him quite a bit. Dylan Cease is not getting a lot of love, with Woodruff projected to be the highest owned ace, and it makes sense. Woodruff, facing the Mets in a really good spot. I like Cease's upside here, though. I think he is, probably going to be lower owned than he should. Aside from, getting blown up every now and then, he's got big time upside. He's been really good. He strikes out a lot of guys. So in tournaments, I think Cease is a look. If you compare him with Woodruff, do your thing. Rich Hill, back to throwing a full allotment of pitches. I'm still not that interested in him, even though I really don't respect the Cleveland offense right now. Looks like Rich Hill is getting a decent amount of love, so I don't hate it, but probably not where I'd want to go. Joe Musgrove also getting quite a bit of love. He continues to get love. I mean, I'm fine with Musgrove here. Washington's not scaring me right now. Probably no Trey Turner. Well, we'll see what's up with Trey Turner and Schwarber, but Turner's still day to day. So he probably is not going to play today. And Schwarber's out. So, yeah, 2 of their biggest bats out of the lineup. I think Musgrove's a good look, specifically in cash games where he's probably going to get a lot of love. Fried, don't love picking on Pittsburgh. He's a little bit more expensive now. He's been good. I don't hate Fried, but don't love his upside here. Probably not where I land. Zach Davies, no. Jose Suarez is a little bit interesting, but probably too expensive. Well, definitely don't want to use him here against Boston. But now that he's officially going to be in the rotation, I think he's an arm you got to look at. That said, man, lefties against Boston, they're coming off a tough series against Oakland. I'm more interested in the Boston bats than Suarez himself. That's just me personally, though. Martin Perez, aside from the couple, real bad games he had, he's been more solid than spectacular, but he hasn't been awful by any means. I'm not looking to use him here, but I don't want to go crazy on the Angel bats. All righty. After that, we got Kobe Allard, who I'm a fan of. I've used him a bunch this year. Now at home against Detroit, he's coming in projected as the 3rd highest owned pitcher on the slate behind Musgrove and Woodruff. And at 7,900, I get it. Detroit's been feisty, though, and he's now priced up a little bit. I'm not really seeing it that much myself personally. I am an Allard fan. I think he's got a good arm. It's not like I'm scared of Detroit, but again, another one that's just probably not where I land. Mike Minor against Cincinnati, no thank you. He has not been good recently. This Cincy lineup now on the road with a DH. That is a no from me, dog. Gutierrez is coming back down to earth a little bit. That spider tattoo is scary, but not where I want to go, as my SP2 here. John Lester, definitely not. I mean, San Diego's got to be in one of the better spots on the slate. Yeah, I mean, Lester at San Diego is going to be a hard no for me. I think you can definitely take a look at some of these San Diego bats. Bailey Ober, liked him a little bit last time out. He was cheaper in the same matchup. Now at home, I don't think you're crazy to like Ober, but I'm not really feeling it. That said, I don't like really any of these cheap pitchers. So I understand why like guys like Allard and Musgrove are getting love, because none of these cheap guys are really appealing. Skipped over Tyler McGill. I mean, I don't hate it. He's 7,200. He seems like he's got a full pitch count. Milwaukee strikes out a lot. Again, I think he's on the short list, if nothing else. Wiley Peralta was really good last time out. It's about the most pitches you'll ever see him throw. I I'd take the -0.2 over 20 plus tonight. So I think Texas bats are a look, even though there's a bunch of good offenses on this slate. So not sure that's where I want to land. Matt Moore at Chicago. No, I think the Cubs get a lot of love and it's deserved. The only problem is the Cubs just haven't been great offensively recently. So as a chalk offense, not sure how much I want to get there personally. Chase DeYoung, definitely not. I like the Atlanta offense quite a bit. And Logan Allen, he's not good. Tampa does strike out a lot against lefties, but a guy like this, I couldn't do it. I think Tampa bats are wildly in play. Tampa and Atlanta are the two teams that stand out to me. This Logan Allen just isn't very good. He's had a couple or one really good start this year, but that came against Detroit. He's been negative ever since. I think Tampa's wildly in play here. Let's start talking about some offenses. Go through these games quickly. Fried versus Pittsburgh. I'm not really looking at Pittsburgh bats here. I'm more likely to use Fried, even at that expensive price tag. Guys like Brian Reynolds, sure, if you want to get there, but not where I want to prioritize tonight. I like Atlanta quite a bit. Big come from behind win last night. Guys like Acuna obviously in play. Freeman, their biggest guys are always in play, and tonight is no different. They're expensive, which might keep their ownership down a little. The thing that helps, though, is you got guys like Almonte and Heredia that are real cheap. I mean, Inciarte, if he makes the lineup. These guys aren't exciting, but if you're stacking them, you're fine with them. Austin Riley's affordable. Swanson, real good game last night. He's very affordable. I like him quite a bit. We saw Orlando Arcia in the lineup yesterday. And I've always been an Arcia fan. He was hitting really well in the minors, 2,600. Brave stack are my top stack of the night, at least so far. We got the Mets and the Brewers. Not looking at Mets bats. Mentioned Lindor yesterday, but not looking at any New York bats on this slate. As far as Milwaukee goes, I mean, I think they'll be contrarian, but again, I think McGill's good enough, and Milwaukee doesn't really excite me here to want to get to them in this spot. He's red hot, and he didn't start yesterday. So Jace Peterson might be my favorite piece at under 4K. Depending on what their lineup looks like today, I think is going to obviously make things a little bit different. Like Tyrone Taylor, he's good against lefties, but he had been at he was towards the top of their lineup yesterday. If somehow he manages to find himself there again, then he's wildly in play at 2,800. So just have to wait and see, but not really a game I'm looking at too much for offense. Cleveland and Tampa. Cleveland bats are not really enticing to me. They're just not very good. I respect Rich Hill enough. I'm not going to use Hill. I'm not going to use Cleveland bats. Tampa is definitely in play for me, though. They ran out a full righty lineup in yesterday's game against Robbie Ray. I assume we'll see something similar today, except for the fact that Logan Allen isn't nearly as good as Robbie Ray. So maybe they don't even need to mess with things. Wander homered yesterday. I could definitely go right back there. Rosarena, Margot presumably leading off. Meadows was in the lineup and had a real good day yesterday, the only lefty in there. So I don't mind any of these guys. I like the full stack. Zunino catching, big-time power. So Atlanta and Tampa, two teams I'm looking hard at. We've got the Twins and the White Sox. Cease has really high upside and he strikes out a lot of guys, but he's not impervious to getting hit. So if you wanted to go really contrarian and use a couple of these Twins lefties against him, Kepler, Kirilloff, Larnach in particular, I get it, but just probably not where I want to prioritize on this slate. And the White Sox versus Ober, Abreu's heating up, double digits in 4 or 5. He looks good right now. Moncada's out, so that hurts. But they have some cheaper pieces in their lineup. I get Chicago as a stack. I like the other two I mentioned more, so I won't prioritize them. But Bailey Ober was not very good last time out. He could be good again today, or the White Sox could get to him. So I get both sides of it. In cash games, I would be much more likely to use the White Sox. Phillies and Cubs, both sides of this game getting a ton of love offensively, and it makes sense. Davies has had his moments, but he's also had his moments where he's gotten hit. I presume that Philly's getting a lot of love because of their price tags. They're kind of expensive, actually. So wind must be blowing out. Let me check weather quickly. I have a feeling the wind's blowing out in Wrigley with them getting this much love. Yep, temp around 90 with a 15-mile-per-hour wind blowing out to center in a wind-sensitive park. So upgrade to the bats. From the Philly side, all these guys are in play. Davies has been good enough, though, and Philly doesn't really do it for me. So, I mean, if you want to use the Segura at 3,200, sure. If you want to spend up on the Harpers and Rhys Hoskins of the world, do your thing. And then from the Chicago side, they've got some good hitters against lefties. Why did I pull up Wisdom? He's even more expensive than Bryant, which is nuts. So Bryant is a real good look here. I think he'll get a lot of love on this slate. I'm about to pull up ownership, and I kind of think he might be one of, if not the highest owned hitter on the slate. Yep. Right behind JT Real. Yeah, right behind JT Realmuto is the highest owned hitter on the slate, and right behind him is Wilson Contreras. So a lot of the catcher ownership is going to come from this game. It makes sense. Realmuto, I mentioned him yesterday. Big game. He's just too cheap. He's much better than a $3,800 hitter. No reason for him to be this cheap. He looks like your cash game guy. And then, Contreras looks like the next best option. A little bit more expensive, but big-time power, probably leading off against Matt Moore. So both these lineups wildly in play. You're going to have some cheap pieces. Jake Marisnick probably is in there, coming off a nice game yesterday. He's got, good upside against left-handed pitching. So I get why these offenses are both getting love. In cash games, I think you take a hard look at them. I prefer the Rays and Braves in tournaments. Texas and Detroit. Wiley Peralta versus Colby Allard. Allard's in play. I'm not sure I get to him. If you're not using Allard, I'm not really excited about Detroit here. Detroit has its moments, but this is not a spot I really want to go to them. I don't think they'll get much love at all. So, okay, Eric Haas or Jake Rogers if he's catching, sure. Our boy Jonathan Scope. I mean, he's going to get no love at 5,600. I couldn't get there personally, but if you're stacking Detroit, do your thing. As far as Texas goes against Wiley Peralta, Texas is not very good, so know that going in. But Wiley Peralta can definitely get hit. So as a stack, Texas is a look. Again, I don't think you're going to get overly excited about them. Dahl's back in their lives. Their two best hitters, Adolis and Joey Gallo, are a little bit more expensive. So again, this game's kind of a wild card. I could see it being 2-1. I could see it being 9-8. I think it's definitely more likely that Texas scores than Detroit, but I wouldn't rule out either side. Probably just a game I avoid, though, personally. Cincy and the Royals, so I like the Reds here also. I respect Minor, but he has not been great recently, and he was never a guy we were afraid to pick, a couple bats against. Now with a DH, Castellanos stands out. Votto's been good against lefties. India leading off. Stevenson maybe in the 4-hole. So this whole lineup is in play for me. Probably right behind the Braves and the Rays on the teams I want to stack. But I like the Reds quite a bit in this spot. And the Royals, too. I think the Royals are also in play. The Royals seem to be getting a lot of love. I would imagine it's not like Whit Merrifield. It's probably the Solairs of the world at 3,300. He's having an awful year, but 3,300 batting in the middle of the lineup. Benintendi back in our lives, 3,600. They're really cheap. They're going to get love as kind of filler pieces, and it makes sense. And O'Hearn continues to be pretty good. So, yeah, I get KC, even if, you're not overly excited about them. It is what it is. Boston and the Angels. So two lefties on the hill here. Martin Perez, I respect. Not a guy I'm afraid to use hitters against. Ohtani is just out of this world. Another home run yesterday. You want to use like the Ohtani Rendon? Ooh. Yeah, I mean, Rendon, he stays getting hurt this year. He looked good yesterday also. Man, I was definitely interested in him. This definitely takes the Angels lineup, down a notch for me. Missing probably their best hitter against left-handed pitching with Mike Trout out. Jose Iglesias has been good recently. He crushes lefties. They've got some filler pieces. Not necessarily looking at the stack, though, with Rendon out. And then Boston. I think Boston's definitely in play here. Suarez was impressive when he came out of the bullpen against the Yankees the other day, but kind of unexpected. That was when Bundy got sick on the hill. He's been good, so I don't want to discredit him, but this is still a powerful Boston lineup that I don't think gets much love at all on this slate. So Yeah, they're not projected for any at all. Bogarts crushes lefties. JD continues to rake. These guys are priced up, so it's going to take away from their ownership if nothing else. Devers is pricey. Kike Hernandez is kind of pricey leading off. So you have to really want them to get to them, but they're in play. Not completely buying what Suarez is selling, and I think you could do a lot worse than stacking the Red Sox on this slate in tournaments. And last but not least, we've got the Padres and the Nationals. So Musgrove getting a lot of love as an SP, probably paired with Woodruff or as an SP1 if people want to spend down. I get it. I'm not excited about it. He's been more solid than spectacular. He hasn't even been that solid. Well, he's been pretty solid. I don't want to take too much away from him. So I get it here. Washington missing two of their better bats. Musgrove's a solid, if not spectacular option. I don't mind at all. Not looking at Washington bats. As far as Lester goes, I think Lester's fine. I mean, not using him here, but I'm not like overly excited about picking on him. Machado, obviously a monster game yesterday. So he walked 3 times, homer twice. If you want to go right back there, do your thing. Tatis is pretty good. Also a decent game last night. And that's what he can do. No home runs or anything, but stole a bag, hit a double, and it gets close to 20. So there's a reason this guy averages, close to 13 DK points per game. He's awesome. A ton to like about him here. So I like those two on San Diego. Will Myers, not really hitting the ball too well right now. Let's see some BVP on Lester. And just scrolling through this, I'll say this about Anthony Rizzo, and people might be afraid to use him lefty on lefty. He's 5-6 with 2 home runs off Matt Moore. So that's not end-all, be-all, but it's pretty damn good. All right. As far as Lester goes, Hosmer is 8 of 22. Interesting note there. Machado is 5 of 15. Few extra base hits. Pham doesn't have great success, and Myers doesn't have great success. So, not taking too much into that, but it does make me like Machado. And Hosmer kind of looks like Anthony Rizzo to me here. Although I wouldn't be surprised. Well, big double for him yesterday. He'll be right back in the lineup. He's sneaky. I could see him as a sneaky one-off that no one will go to in a lefty-on-lefty matchup. All right, guys, that's pretty much what I got for you, just to run it back real quick. Pitching-wise, Pitching-wise, I'm really looking at Woodruff. Ceases intriguing in tournaments. As much as I don't love paying $8,700, Musgrove. Colby Allard's a look. I think Jose Suarez and deep GPPs. Tyler McGill. I'm actually kind of feeling both pitchers in the Mets-Brewers game. The Brewers came back down to earth yesterday. So if I'm making one lineup right now, I think I'm going to go with McGill and Woodruff. And then, offenses I like, the Braves, the Rays, Red Sox. In cash games, I think you're looking at the Cubs, the Phillies, and some Royals, along with some White Sox too. So probably those 4 teams, at least as of right now. We know that as the day goes on in DFS, things can definitely change. But until then, that's all I got for you guys. Hope you had a great 4th of July weekend and are still crushing it. I will see you guys soon. Thanks as always.